Hey everyone, it's Beverly Hallberg. Welcome to a special pop-up episode of She Thinks, your favorite podcast from the Independent Women's Forum, where we talk with women and sometimes men about the policy issues that impact you and the people you care about most. Enjoy.
Hey there, I'm Carrie, Lukas, President of Independent Women's Forum. I'm joined today by a special guest to discuss tax reform. Patrice Onwuka is IWF's Senior Policy Analyst. Patrice, I'm really excited to have you. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Carrie. Great to be on.
Great. Last month, there were headlines everywhere that tax refunds for 2019 were down 8.4%. California Senator Kamala Harris linked it to the tax cuts, tweeting, "It's a middle-class tax hike to line the pockets of already wealthy corporations in the 1%. What's going on here? Is she right?
She is wrong, not surprisingly, Carrie. So what happened is that earlier in the tax filing season, around early February, the early returns were starting to come in, and it appeared that the average amount of tax refunds was down about 17%, I think 8.4%, maybe about $170 on average. Well, a lot of news outlets as well as politicians on the left jumped on that as evidence that the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 was somehow taking people's money away from them during the tax refund season. Well, that's absolutely not true for a number of reasons. But as an update to where we're at right now, we've actually seen the average tax refund increase, and it is tracking with where it was about this time last year. And so, it's possible that average tax refunds will be higher than last year, or they may be about break even. But there's a larger question or a larger educational opportunity about why a big tax refund is not some big windfall. It's actually maybe something else that's going on. But going back to Kamala Harris's tweet, she earned 4 Pinocchios from the Washington Post because she was really conflating lots of different issues and making it seem like, the tax cuts robbed from the middle class to give to the wealthy, when that's actually not true. Most workers, about 80% of workers got a tax cut throughout the rest of the year, and that's going to have an impact on the size of their tax refunds, but not just that.
Yeah, it is interesting. I think it's important for people to remember also that the big tax refund means you've been overpaying taxes all year. So it's a little bit funny to focus on that one number. But I think what I'd like to ask you about a little bit is how the tax cuts have impacted working families more broadly beyond this question of just the refunds. What have been the implications?
Oh, it's been amazing. So when you think about it, everyone got, or pretty much all of the tax brackets were cut down on the individual side. In addition, you saw the doubling of the standard deduction, and the child tax credit was also increased. And so all of a sudden, I think it changes the tax situation for lots of working families. According to the Tax Policy Center, 80% of all taxpayers ended up with a tax cut, which is great. I mean, that means that you're able to keep more of your money throughout the entire year. And that's good because you get to determine what's best and how best to use your money, maybe paying bills, maybe treating your family to a night out. There are also lots of different tax changes on the corporate side. But at the end of the day, people probably took home bigger paychecks all year long. And that meant that, Uncle Sam was taking less of your money as an interest-free tax loan. Let's just remind everybody here, a tax refund, is not like a wad of cash you find on the street. It is your money that you've overpaid to Uncle Sam all year long. And then you're literally asking the IRS to give you back what you've overpaid in taxes. And so when we talk about changing our withholdings on your W-4 form, those determine, how much money is taken out of your paycheck. And if you have too much taken out, then that's what leads to you getting a bigger tax refund the next year. But if you have the right amount taken out all year and you get to keep your money, then, hey, maybe you break even. Hopefully, unlike me or many others, you don't end up having to pay Uncle Sam back that money.
Yeah. Yeah. It is kind of tricky though. I feel like that's something that's not always, there's so much misinformation out there that I think it's sometimes hard for people to know what is right and how they should be approaching when they fill out those kind of inscrutable deduction withholding forms. Do you have an answer to that? Is that something that, how can we start helping people? How should people approach kind of their planning for 2019?
That's a good question. I am not a tax expert when it comes to filling those forms out, but I think it's worth maybe sitting down with a financial advisor who can say, hey, take a look at your withholdings, making sure that it has been adjusted, given that because of tax cuts and tax reform in general, the different brackets have changed, and maybe your situation may have changed so that you can your withholding does need to change. But back to your previous question, Carrie, I totally forgot to mention this, which was amazing. One of the offshoots of the tax cuts as well is that a lot of companies took their tax savings and gave it back to their workers through bonuses, through new benefits like paid family leave and educational benefits, paying for you to go to college. So, even pay increases and salary increases. So, the tax cuts certainly had a lot of benefits, not just in the cuts to the marginal rates and the changes in kind of tax deductions and credits, but it also allowed companies to really reward workers with, better financial benefits that they had before. So, yeah, I definitely would say it's worth sitting down with your financial advisor and starting to think through, is your withholding accurate and is your withholding right? But I do hope, though, that this is an educational opportunity for everyone, that just because you have a bigger tax, a big tax refund at the end of the year, it doesn't necessarily mean that's a good thing.
Yeah, Patricia, that's so important. And, thank you for kind of debunking the hysteria on the smaller tax refunds that we're sometimes seeing in the media and reminding us of what's really important when it comes to tax policy, which isn't just something like the tax refund. More importantly, how it affects the economy, the kind of jobs and the pay that are available, and all those things that we see as the biggest benefits that are happening from the tax cuts that went into effect a couple of years back. Well, we hope you take away something new from today's conversation. And if you enjoy this episode of She Thinks or like this podcast in general, we'd love it if you could take a moment to leave us a rating or review on iTunes. This helps ensure our message reaches as many Americans as possible. Share this episode. Let your friends know where they can find more She Thinks episodes on your favorite podcast app. So from all of us here, you're in control. I think, you think, she thinks.